quite often you forget that the wealth transfer in a lot of instances won't happen vertically, it will happen first horizontally, and it will be across to spouse. So we're very focused on women in wealth, thinking how we bridge some of that gap.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the FT studio for the latest episode of our PWM Tea Break with our guest Annabel Bosman, Regional Centre Head for London and the South East at RBC Brewin Dolphin. It's great to have you with us, Annabel.
Thank you for having me.
What kind of tea are you drinking today?
Good Northern girl, I'm on Yorkshire tea.
At RBC, we imagine there'd be something of a genteel tea drinking culture compared to some of your other previous hubs like City and Barclays. Were they a bit more aggressive investment banking places with a different culture?
I think definitely a different culture, wouldn't necessarily more aggressive, but US, European versus Canadian. I'd love to say it's a tea drinking culture, but probably not much time to drink tea. But it's really collegiate, it's very friendly. I often struggle with a better word than nice, but it's a nice Canadian culture to work in.
You play a bit of rugby there, and I can see you're sporting a injury from a challenge for one of your colleagues. Does it get a bit feisty at times?
Only on the rugby pitch, Yuri, and I think they are mortified, so they'll feel even worse about it now they're watching this.
We had a guest recently who was talking about comparing the sporting world with the wealth management world, and next week actually our guest will be looking at data from rugby, how we leverage that for wealth management. Are you a big fan of using data in investment?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think data now drives a lot of our decisions. We always try and think through the human element to that, but certainly when we're exposed to more and more data on our clients, it's really helpful when it comes to making some of the strategic decisions that we're faced with.
And the asset allocation decisions are absolutely key to that. And my colleague Elisa, she was writing about bonds coming back into favour as the yields start to go up. When you speak to your team of advisors, what kind of assets are they and their clients favouring at the moment?
Well, our starting point is always around the client map. The holistic wealth map for each client, which of course is driven by their own individual circumstances, needs. So starting point is usually that roadmap. The investment is a part of that, as is wealth planning. We're very diversified with our portfolios, like much of the marketplace. But we've definitely seen more of a tactical interest in bonds, particularly UK governments, when you think about some of the tax-exposed portfolios that clients have.
There's this 84 trillion wealth transfer going on between the different cohorts. We had a piece by Daniel Aghdami, a partner at the headhunters Heidrick Struggles, and he's saying this transfer, as much of an opportunity as it is for the wealth management world, it might also be a day of reckoning, because some of these advisors, they need to be what now? A counsellor, a therapist, a manager, and an investment expert. Do we have enough advisors who have all of these skills?
More and more advisors are aware of the challenges of wealth transfer. We do encourage all of our advisors to think very deliberately about the types of clients that they're working with, the conversations they're having. I think when you think about that wealth transfer, quite often you forget that the wealth transfer in a lot of instances won't happen vertically, it will happen first horizontally, and it will be across to spouse. So we're very focused on women in wealth, thinking how we bridge some of that gap to give all parties that are investing with us enough information, enough confidence that they understand the decisions they're making. So deliberate thought required, definitely, but I think increasingly we're seeing a new generation of advisors who are very well versed in adjusting their communication skills and thinking through the client conversations they're having.
We had a piece from Robert Kaplan, and he was saying that the families who are inheriting wealth, they haven't really been thinking about that preparation. Whose responsibility is it to help the families? Is it the bank? Is it the education system? Is it the parents and grandparents?
I think ultimately it's all of us. It's the individual, it's the education system, and I know that the government is trying to improve that. Also the financial services sector. So I think we all have a part to play. We have a financial wellbeing team, and we do a lot of work with them because financial wellbeing is one of the key drivers to general wellbeing for our clients. So thinking through how we can support clients, really bridge that confidence, that knowledge gap is massively important before you even start to think about how you're going to populate investment portfolios.
I was in Germany recently, Annabel, in Frankfurt, speaking to one of your previous employers, Deutsche Bank, and they're really enjoying a resurgence under Claudio De Sanctis in the wealth management sphere. But there's a lot of introspection in that market, and people are saying culturally it's going to be the Revoluts, the technology companies, these new style banks which will increasingly take the market share. Do you think our industry is prepared for that cultural transition?
This is a once-in-a-generation revolution, tech revolution. There is opportunity there. The wealth management industry has traditionally been quite administration heavy. There's an opportunity there for us to create efficiencies, which gives time back to advisors to have those really meaningful conversations with clients. And I'm a big believer in ultimately where we'll land will be a frictionless solution that can switch between tech and advisor, because ultimately we're dealing with humans, and we often see at times of stress, they want to pick up the phone to another human. We've all got those stories about dealing with bots online and how frustrating that is. So I think the winners will be the institutions that can switch between the two.
Our guest last week from the Omphalos Fund, he was saying that machines are going to be running wealth management in 5 years' time. Forget the humans. Would you contest that?
I really would. Back to that human element. Ultimately, we're a trust-based industry, and AI can't replicate that yet. So I really believe in that human element to the relationship, which drives really meaningful conversations. So yeah, I would contest that at the risk of talking my own book.
We had a great question about this from Adina Grigoriou, one of our regular viewers who worked at BNP Paribas for many years in Paris. And Adina is saying, is it fair for wealth managers to invest clients' money through AI-driven systems which their advisors or RMs cannot always fully explain?
AI is a tool. That's how we use it. We use it to create efficiencies, but we have very strict governance around there always being a human in the chain. And I think that's massively important. When you think of an investment team the size that we have at RBC, we've got a wealth of knowledge and experience, and we don't want to lose that. So yes, it's a tool to create efficiencies, but no, we won't be replacing the humans anytime soon.
And that goes for the portfolio management as well?
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. So, we still have on-desk portfolio management teams who really understand what the client is trying to achieve in that wealth map that we've already put in place for them.
Well, Annabel, you've done a great job of explaining your ideas today without the help of any AI. Many thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
And I'm starting already to think about next week's episode, when we will build on the whole technology theme to talk about data. Where do we get it from? How do we clean it up? And how do we best use it for the good of our clients? Plus, what can we learn from other industries, particularly sports, about the effective deployment of data? An interesting question, because we've got the World Cup coming up in the US, Canada, and Mexico. So please start sending me your questions on this and other topics. And I look forward to seeing you all once more for the next episode of the PWM Tea Break.